So I'm a business owner living in Tokyo, Japan for 6 years, and here are 9 things that you must do if you want to absolutely guarantee that you regret your life in Japan. Avoid learning the language. Don't bother with Japanese and stick only to your native language. After all, learning a new language can take a lot of time, can take a lot of effort, and in many cases it can also take a considerable amount of money. And these are all things that you should absolutely not invest into your life in Japan. Don't forget that struggling to communicate is one of the best ways to guarantee that you'll continue feeling isolated, anxious, or maybe even depressed about your everyday interactions. So if you're really determined to have a bad life in Japan, then this is most definitely one of the best things you can do. Disregard local etiquette. Now, some of you might know that things in Japan can work in a particular way, particularly when it comes to how people interact with each other. But above all that, you should completely ignore all social and cultural norms and keep doing things your way. After all, if you're really determined to regret your life in this country, then all those people that tell you that the laws and rules and norms of the country are a waste of time are actually correct. And so if you do things the right way, your way, then you'll ensure that you'll continue having all the misunderstandings, all the frustrating interactions with locals that you need in order to continue feeling resentful and more isolated every single day. And of course, if you're feeling isolated, then you should do nothing about it. You should stay isolated. Don't bother about trying to grow your network or make new friends or meet new people, because at the end, that's all going to be a big waste of time. You must avoid socializing both with locals and expats, because that's the only way to guarantee that you'll continue growing your feelings of loneliness, isolation, and lack of community. Now that we're talking about community, you should also ignore the seasons. Now, Japan is actually famous for having multiple activities and attractions and festivals throughout the year to celebrate the seasons. But these are all activities that you should not take part in, because actually joining these festivals is a very good way to better integrate into the culture. And so missing out on these experiences is the best way to guarantee that you continue having a monotonous life that is disconnected from the culture and from the people around you. And you should, of course, resist change. This means only sticking to the places that you know and only sticking to the things that you know. This includes as well sticking very rigidly to your own cultural norms and refusing to accept how things work in Japan. This is going to help you stay in a constant state of frustration and feeling like you don't fit in, because you will always expect the people around you to react like the people back home, which is of course the right thing to do. So whenever you encounter someone that doesn't quite react in a way that you expect, then instead of accepting it and learning from the experience, the best thing you can do is actually resent them for behaving in a way that you don't quite expect. Stick to familiar foods. This means that you should try to avoid as much as you can the local cuisine and only eat the foods you know. This is going to greatly limit your culinary experience and it's going to make eating out a lot less enjoyable for you. This is very important because actually one of the main ways in which we experience the world is through the food. And so you should not allow yourself to experience new things and to broaden your horizons. So only stick to the foods that you already know. And of course, I don't think I need to tell you this, but you should always be impatient. Now, as many of you might know, here in Japan, people tend to adhere to the rules and laws that they set for themselves, particularly when it comes to things like paperwork and bureaucracy. So one of the best things you can do is get easily frustrated with bureaucracy and the challenges of daily life. And that includes, of course, constantly complaining and comparing it with how things were better back home. This impatience is going to turn into stress and, who knows, maybe eventually, if you do things the right way, into dissatisfaction with your life in Japan. And of course, it goes without saying that you should overwork without balance. This means focusing only on your work and rejecting anything outside of it. Of course, this means you should completely neglect your personal life and not engage with any activities or any people outside of your work, because this is quite possibly the best thing that's going to lead you towards burnout, stress, and a feeling of lack of fulfillment outside of your job. And of course, it will help you to feel even more disconnected and continue to make you unable to enjoy the unique aspects of life in Japan. And of course, if you don't want anything in your life to change, then you should stay in your comfort zone. Don't go out and try to discover or find new places in Japan Japan and stick only to the things that you know. Because this is the best way to limit your experiences and to keep you from enjoying the beauty and diversity that Japan has to offer, both in terms of its landscapes and scenery and in terms of the people that live in it. And of course, if you really, truly, fully want to regret living in Japan, then you most definitely should not watch this video right here, in which I share with you some more valuable lessons about my time in this country. So take care, and I'll see you next time.